Welcome back, everybody. I know I'm not on webcam right now, but today I'm going to be doing the International Bracket main event predictions for TI. And so, no spoilers. Let's just get along the way.
Banana slam jam.
We'll start in the lower bracket with the best of ones. Lower bracket round one is best of ones. I do believe EG will triumph amongst between the two of these teams. No bias here. I don't think Elephant has been consistent, and I do think EG is better than 13th through 16th. Moving on to the next series, I believe Beast Coast will take it over Alliance. I haven't been convinced of Alliance all year. They're going to have to show up with something crazy because they've been picking the same stuff that I've seen throughout the entire course of the DPC, and they feel relatively solved. And I honestly think they're a bit lucky to make it through the group stage because of Thunder Predator going 0-16. Quincy Crew and Aster. Aster is sick with COVID, and Quincy Crew did have a pretty good run towards the end of their group stage. However, if you want my brutal honesty, I think Quincy Crew looked pretty bad throughout the course of the group stage, and I'm going to go with Aster. Undying versus Fnatic. This is a tough one. I think both teams looked really hit or miss. Like some games they looked really good, and some games they looked really bad. And I'm going to go a little bit biased, I think, and say that I would like to see an NA team, not all the NA teams get knocked out in the lower bracket. And I think this is the closest out of all these games for me. Like if I had the toughest call out of all of these is the Undying Fnatic game. I think they had a lot of promising things going on in the group stage, and I think they'll be able to pull out a best of one. So let's go ahead and go up to the upper bracket here. We have IG versus Team Spirit. So I think I have two routes that I could go with this bracket predictions. I could go with the very basic, like this is what the stats tell us, this is what's going to happen. Or I could go with, my gut. And I'm going to go with my gut, I think, because that makes it more interesting. I think all the stats point to IG winning it, but I think Team Spirit is a pretty sick team, and I watched them throughout the course of the year, and I think they're going to actually win this series. So I'm going to go with Team Spirit for this. I'm going to go with OG over Secret. I think Secret looked really scary in their best games, but honestly pretty shaky in the games that they lost. While on the other hand, I think OG just looked pretty consistently good, even in the games they lost. So, like most of their games they lost. So I'm going to go with OG there. On this side, I think LGD is unfreaking stoppable. No offense to T1. I was actually a big fan of T1 after casting a lot of them in the group stage, but I think LGD is absolutely unbeatable. And then for VP versus VG, this is probably the hardest series for me. I mean, this is probably the hardest series in the sense that I predicted the underdog. I think IG is favored, like on paper, and I think IG is a very good team, but I'm going to go, that's my, non-standard call here. I think the safe bet would always be IG. But I do believe this is the closest out of all three series, or all four series, VP versus VG. And I've been praising VP all season, and I'm going to go with my Eastern European gut again. I actually think this is the year for Eastern Europe. I don't necessarily think they're going to win it all, but I do believe it is the year that these teams will make a splash in the tournament. But once again, I think VG is slightly favored on paper. But I'm going to go with VP here. So that gives us IG versus Undying. I predicted an upset here, but I just don't believe IG will. They're not going to get 9th through 12th at all. I think Undying's run is going to end here. We're going to go with Secret versus Aster. I also think Secret will win. Man, this is actually freaking hard. I feel like I'd rather do this. I want to be right, man. I want to be right. My ballsy prediction, then not so ballsy, but ballsy will be VP over VG then. I'm going to take it back, guys. I don't have any conviction. I don't have conviction, guys. Forgive me. I accidentally lowered my seat.
Quincy beats Sasta?
My percentage, I could be giving more percentages, I guess. My percentage of Quincy versus Aster is probably 60-40 in favor of Aster. So I don't think it's like unwinnable for Quincy. I honestly think all 4 of these series are pretty winnable either way. I don't think there's a clear winner on any of these 4 games. I honestly think the most undisputed winner in my book, like the one that will almost certainly win, was Beast Coast over Alliance. I think Alliance is the weakest team left in the tournament by a decent margin. I think all the other games are either way, though. Like, if Alliance wins, would I be shocked? I don't want to say I'd be, like, shocked, but I would be surprised for sure.
Dangle.
I have to remove.
Why do you think Og beats Secret?
I think OG is going to beat Secret because I said Secret looked inconsistent. It looked like they were really good some games and not so good in other games. And I think Puppy's kind of like a machine, and he's either running at full steam or he's not. And I think Secret's not at full steam right now. Okay. So I retracted my IG loss because I realized how much of the bracket I'm going to get wrong if I predict IG to lose. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not worried. Just remember, if Team Spirit wins, guys, that I did believe in them, even if I didn't believe in them with conviction. All right, guys, just remember that. I do believe Team Spirit's a pretty dope team. T1 over Beast Coast. This is honestly a pretty hype series for me. I still think T1 is a more convincingly good team than Beast Coast, despite me forgetting which group was each team. And I'm going to go EG over Vici. Team Spirit versus Secret. You know, man, I honestly think I think Team Spirit's the better team. I'm no cap a frappuccino. I think Team Spirit's the better team. I'm going to go with Team Spirit. I think they're going to make a run. I really don't think Secret was convincing in the group stage. I think Secret is either going to drop out right here or make top 3. Like, they're not going to drop out here or here. They're going to either make top 3 or they're going to get dropped out right here. So that's where I think Secret's at as a team. I think Secret's, like, top performance is, like, capable of honestly making finals, maybe even winning it all. In the games I watched them, like, they looked terrifying. But it wasn't against any of the good teams for the most part. So it might just be that, you know, they're kind of stomping some noobs, relatively speaking. T1 versus EG. T1 did get 2-0'd by them in the group stage. That actually did happen. I did see that just now. I saw that series, too. I casted that one. It was the first series of the group stage. So the question is, you know, obviously we're in this hypothetical world where these two teams have played. Well, I can't, like, act like they're playing their first series in all these series, right? So T1 lost to LGD. They're probably not too butthurt about that. You know, it's obviously just acceptance that they got dealt that hand. And they're probably feeling pretty good that they bounced back from a Beast Coast win. EG came out of the group stage basically choking. So they're probably down in the dumps. I think their hardest game might be the Elephant game. They're just down in the dumps from the group stage. They do have Dr. K coaching them on their mental health, though. So maybe that'll not be as bad as their choke against IG and Singapore Major. But then EG versus Vici, if they won that, I think mentality-wise they're back. So I think both teams would be in a pretty good headspace right here. And we are going to predict T1. Because I think they found their identity towards the end of the group stage. I mean, they literally won their last 8 games. So we are now IG versus OG. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've lacked a little bit of conviction when I went back on IG and Team Spirit. But I said back in frickin' July that Sumail was the perfect replacement for OG, for Ana. And I'm pretty sure he still is. So I'm going to predict OG. BSJ, you're such a basic-ass fanboy. Go home. Where's Team Nigma in this bracket? Shut up. Okay. LGD versus VP. Sorry, guys. I think LGD is the best team in the tournament. Basic ass bitch BSJ. VP, I do think is pretty solid. I straight up think LGD is on wing status right now. I don't think they're beatable. VP versus Team Spirit. Wow, we got the Eastern Europeans set up in the lower bracket here. BSJ just creating all the storylines. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but the VP during the DPC for Eastern Europe won every freaking game. Literally every game. I think they lost one game throughout both DPC seasons. And I don't think that'll change here. I think VP is the best team in Eastern Europe by a large margin. even though their results in tournaments were a bit different, and even VP did worse than Team Spirit at the last major, I don't think that can be assumed that VP is the worser team. IG versus T1. I do believe this is where the miracle run for T1 ends. I think they're good with 6th. 5th, 6th, I think, is where T1 will fall out here. I don't think they're quite good enough as a team to crack the top 4. So I will be eliminating T1 here. VP versus IG. So this is like one of those things where I think IG is going to win. I mean, I just think it's China's year. I don't think there's much wiggle room in these brackets. But I'll make my one cool prediction that if it comes true, I'll look really smart. I'll go with VP for this one. And then I'm going to go with LGD. And then I'm going to go with OG. Wow, BSJ. Okay, timeout. We got to take this back a little bit, BSJ. That's so boring. You went so fast on the finals. Does anybody else feel like the finals are the most obvious ones? Like, I feel like every year, except for TI8, the finals ones were the most obvious ones. Where, like, the teams at that point were pretty obvious who was the best. Like, everyone knew OG was going to win the TI9 finals. But I do believe we're at a point where LGD is wings of TI6. So, I want to get the right answer rather than feel smart or whatever. Because I'm a hipster and I'm edgy. And I'm just going to go LGD. I don't know if you guys have watched. Thank you, Achievement Unlocked. But what I talked about LGD at the Animajor is that I called them like I thought of them as like a surgeon. Like they are just dissecting their opponents. Like none of their drafts are the same. All of their drafts are just like, we know this team plays like this, so let's just pick heroes that are good against that playstyle. They don't have like a specific playstyle. They don't have a limited hero pool. They literally pick whatever the hell, and they just win. They actually just win. And it always makes such perfect sense. It's kind of like when you see a piece of art and it's getting drawn and it doesn't make any sense to you because you're not as good as the artist, right? You're like watching this painting be constructed. And then like as you see it forming the image, you're like, holy crap, it's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. And then once the draft is complete, you just see the next Mona Lisa. And that's LGD's drafts. I think their drafts are on a whole another level. I think it is literally the most dominant team since TI6 Wings. That's where I'm at. So if I would actually be surprised if LGD does not win this tournament. I do believe OG will beat VP though, but the heart inside of me would like to see 3 different regions represented in the 3 final placements. That will be my bracket predictions for TI10. Feel free to copy paste if you guys are too lazy to do some independent thinking for yourselves, or if you just want to get every answer right, because that's another reason why you'd copy paste BSJ predictions, because I am always right. I can't do any stupid expressions because I don't have my webcam on right now.
If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.